Notes for adding and subtracting radicals. Well, we have the radical 2x cubed root of negative 8x squared minus x cubed root of negative 27x squared. And we want to subtract those two. Well, we can, again, break them up into their own radicals, break the inside up into their own radicals. And keep in mind that third roots, we can have negative as our inside of our radicand. And that negative that's inside will extract itself out. So we extract the negative and just rewrite in terms of their own radicals. Same thing over here, negative 27, we have a third root, so we're going to extract that negative. We already have a minus sign here, so when we extract that negative, it becomes a double negative, which turns into a positive, and then rewriting those terms in their own radical. So the third root of 8 is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8. So that becomes a factor with the negative 2 here. Then we have the third root of x squared. Well, we can't do anything with that, so that stays inside the radical. So our first term turns into negative 2, which was already outside, times the third root of 8, which is 2, and our x here, and then the radical that we can't do anything further about. Now for the next part of this here, we look at the third root of 27 is 3. So again, 3 times 3 times 3 gives us the 27. So that is indeed our third root. We can't do anything with this here, so we bring this down inside of the radical as it is. So third root of x and third root of x squared. Simplifying it, we get negative 4x third root of x squared and 3x third root of x squared. We now can combine those because we have the same radicand. As long as those are the same, that's one of the things that we need to add or subtract. We also need to have the same index or root. That has to be the same in order to add. And then as far as variables are concerned, and we have to have the like variables in order to combine like terms. So given that all of those things are in place, we can do our adding, negative 4x plus 3x, and keep the radical like it is. So our final result. In our next example, we have a problem that involves 27x to the 5th power, y to the 3rd power, cube root of 27x to the 5th power, y to the 3rd power, minus 3xy, cube root of x squared, plus xy, 3x, cube y. So we're adding and subtracting there. And we're going to simplify the first term. So first term, well, we can't take the square root of that, so we break it down to 9 times 3. So we can take the cube root of the square root of that number there. We also break down the x to the 5th power to x to the 4th power times the first power. We break down the y to the 3rd. So now we can take the root of 9, which is 3. Take the square root of x to the 4th. Now x to the 4th is x to the 2nd times x to the 2nd, so we get x to the 2nd as our base. So y squared, square root of y squared is y. So left inside the radical is the 3x and a y. In our next term, well, we took 27 and broke it down into 3 to the third power because 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 is our base here. So we bring that out. We break x to the fifth down into x to the third times x to the second. So now that we have a third root here, we can bring its cube root out, which is x. And then same thing with y. We can bring y to the third, its cube root is y. And left on the inside, and the next term, we can't do anything with this, so that stays exactly like it is. In our last term, we have the x to the third, which we can break down to x to the second times x. So x squared, square root of x squared is x. So we can bring that x out along with the xy that was already there. And the 3xy stays on the inside of the radical. So we have that. In our next step here, we can cancel the 3xy cube root of x. So that cancels, leaving us with the 3x squared y, square root of 3x, plus x squared y, square root of 3xy. So we can combine those two now. Keep in mind that this is like saying 1x squared y added to 3x squared y. We have the same index, the same index, which is a square root for both of our terms. The radicand inside is the same. So given that our variables have the same power, checking all of those things, we can add, and it becomes 4x squared y, square root of 3x squared, 3xy. That's our final result.